So this is your very own Saba here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. There's a sefer here by the Atiyah. There's a rabbi by the name of Mordechai Atiyah. He's a big-time Kabbalist. He works with, what would you say, images and charts. He has many, many important ideas to show that are illustrated, and it's in this sefer, which is called the Eitz Chaim Limso Ehem. Now, if you're inclined in this thing, in this, there's just tremendous things inside of the sefer, but it also goes along with the Eitz Chaim itself. So to be interested enough to be able to look into that, I'm going to show you this in a minute. Just let me read the front of it. It says, so he says, HaKodesh le'etz hachaim. This is Eitz Chaim limso ehem. I'm not sure exactly this phrase, but it says me'es talmidi harab hagoen Rabbi Mordechai Atiyah Shlita. This is a very famous Kabbalist in Eretz Yisrael. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this is because, well, somehow I'm going to do it. Probably. No, that doesn't extend. That's it. Okay, well, this is the best I can do with this. And let me see, would this help me? Get it flat, at least a little flatter, and then maybe I could push it up. Now, what he says is the title of this. What are we looking at? Now, this is what I tried to explain. Now, this is what he's using it for, and where he's looking are different places. But this is what I called Ovi. Okay, at the center of the Ovi, of course, is the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. But let's look at it in terms of the Naranchi that we talk about, which is the Nefesh, Ruach, Chaya. Let's say this, excuse me, which is the Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chay, Yechida. Now, here's what he does. He shows you that the Nefesh goes into all of these different stages. So he has Erek Anpin, Abba, Ima, and Zun, 5 different places. Then he says the Ruach is also in the same places. And the Neshama is also in the same places. The Chaya, same places. And then the Yechida. Now what he wants to show us is that they look exactly the same. Only the difference is that at Yechida, you're really approaching much more the light of the Ein Sof, which is very much like nothing, but powerful. And then all of these others are duplicates. They have them here, this is Zun, but they're duplicates. And the idea we have to understand is wrappings inside of wrappings inside of wrappings and inside of wrappings, but the wrappings themselves look the same. Now this sefer I got here from a book company called Beagleisen. I got a couple of them. Reminds that I have one at the Kollel. I have no idea what happened to it because it's not their area of interest. So I got to find it now thinking about it. But this is the aspect that's coming into Zeir Anpin. It comes from Luvish, and there's a halvosha, because the Ein Sof itself is not physical. Not physical. Okay, I just wanted to bring that out. We could look some others from different times. There's a lot of different ideas that are applicable in this sefer. And many Mikubalim have been to the yeshiva. I don't know how old Rabbi Atiyah is now. Now, a little bit about what I'm doing is that trying to just understand this. And I don't want to spend, tremendous amount of time trying to understand it because I don't understand it that well myself. So this is the details of the notes. Wow, look a little bit messier. A little mess. Sorry about that. So now we're given this phrase. We're at the end of where we're at is the Hakdama, the chakras beside RASHASH. It's like as you're learning Kabbalah, all of a sudden there's I'm going to try to make a little sense out of it here and there. And then there's a stumbling block. A set of descriptions of where this light is coming from and what is it doing is beyond my imagination. So I didn't think of it. And he's teaching me this, but I don't know what to do with it. I'll show it to you, and you'll see what I think. So he said, this is the introduction to chakras. So he says, when you start to pray, I'm going to lurk a little bit at this number 1. You should have this kavanot in mind, to make a zivug, and understand that if you're learning Kabbalah, you have to, I'm thinking, talking to people and thinking, what is one of the core principles, or maybe the core principles, is yichud. Well, a lot of people don't want to use the word zivug. Some people do. So is the yichud of opposites, because Hashem Yisbarach is one. But we see the world as always people are for and against and for. You're fighting with your wife. You have trouble in business. All the different things, or whatever you do in the grind of life, has always this part where the things don't get along. And the purpose of it is to create, what we're trying to do is create the blessing that brings yichud, oneness. And it says in other places in Kabbalah that is actually the main characteristic of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, is that it is oneness. And by bringing that into your life, it could do a lot. Now, we're given this language of it's like lahavdil, it's like learning a hieroglyphics or some kind of deep language that you have to really know what the people are saying. Probably not saying too much. But here, it's also another language. You have to learn it. How could he say, or he does say, Yekavin the Zavag Kachbad the Kachbad? Let's say you're going to make a yichud, and what yichud are you making? Does he mean a yichud with keser? That would be the keser, and it's the nukta keser, the chokhmah and bina, and das. There's two different aspects. Chassan the das and Gevuras the das. There's 5 of each. And then he says this is all going to happen. That's why I showed you the picture of the ovi. It's going to happen in all these partsufim. The partsufim by themselves look the same. The difference is, where are they in relationship to the light of the Ein Sof? Because it's continuously wrapping itself. Atik Yomim, Eric Anpin. So it would be probably Atik Yomim V'nuk, Derek Anpin V'nuk, Ava V'ima, which is Zohar V'nuk, and Zon, which is Zohar V'nuk. Now, where is that we want to make this yichud? He says that it's the Asiya, the Atzilus. In the Asiya of Atzilus. Now, wait a minute. Atzilus is Atzilus. And then there's a Bria, there's a Yitzir, and a Asiya. He's coming over to say once again. He says that Asiya is wrapped in Asiya. So Atzilus is wrapped. It's wrapped from Asiya. It's wrapped from Yitzir around Yitzir. These are hidden worlds. So the hidden world of Asiya, the hidden world of Yitzira, etc. Bria, and then finally there's an Atzilus of Atzilus, which means really, really close to the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. So Hamaluvashim, the parts of Shegenegdem Berasiya, which are clothed in the parts of that is opposite them, in the Olam of Asiya. Now, I don't know what he means, the parts of that Shegenegdem. I don't know what that means. Does he mean the parts of, which is the female parts of, or the male parts of, whichever it is, that they will both come together? I'm not sure. Then he shows you the yichud. Now, this is what we learned in other places. This is called a yichud panimi, because the yud is on the inside. There's a time when the yud is on the outside. That's called a yichud chitzon. Now, we have a rule in Kabbalah that the aspect of the lower world that actually is able to move up, because we've seen this in other places, is that there is a chitzonius and a panemius. That the chitzonius stays and holds that position, and the panemius moves up to the parts of that's up above it. That's a different drawing. Maybe I'll find it in the Eitz Chaim Nimsoehem to show how partsufim move up. I've said this before, and so this is a little bit mind-bending, but the way that it is like this, you have two parts. You have a chitzonius and a panemius, and the panemius moves up. When it moves up, where does it move? It moves to the chitzonius, the most outside part of the parsif that's up above it. So you want to move the or, the lowest or, the lower or of nefesh, which represents the or of olam asiyah. You want to move that or up into Yetzirah. This is the whole idea of bringing this up. Now here we're in the morning. He's talking about morning time davening. And he's saying that this is the way you have to look at this. You're going from the inside of the outside, which is another way of saying is that Asiyah surrounds Yetzirah, which surrounds Bria, which surrounds Tzilos. All this whole Vasha, it's constantly part of it. And the reason is that physical matter, physical beings, people, cannot exist exposed to the light of the Ein Sof, because the Ein Sof is not a light, not anything. So therefore, we have to bring up the panemius of the chitzonius. And to take them, now here we start talking about oros. So there are partsufim, different words, which means a system of 10 lights. That comes from Kesser. It depends on how you count it. It's 10 lights from Kesser down to through Malchus. When you get to that, you could be in a duplicate partsuf, or you could be talking about being inside of a partsuf. Think about outer space. This does not fit into our regular earthly bound. The Naranchi, the Nechi, the Nefesh. Now, Nefesh is the lowest aspect of the soul. It's the aspect which is found in Olam Asiyah. But it also has 5 lights within it. That is, and we're going to take the top 3 lights. That's the Neshama Chayin Yechida, the Nefesh, Mochim Panimium. Number Mochim is really the active. We see it in other places. We'll see in the RASHASH. Show us the Mochim. You showed it many times before. We'll see it again. He shows what they look like. They're the name Absag Ma'u Ben, which you may know, may not know. I don't know. The Nefesh Mochim, Panimium and Makifim, so that both of the lights that are inside, that go inside of the partsuf, and also the lights that can't because they're too great, I mean, too much like the Ein Sof, to be physical enough to go in. The Kedem Kitzonius the Zund to call Echod, and I'm really, I want to take a break here and take a look at this. I'm not happy with my translation of this word, to call Echod. Just 1 second, please. Okay, so we're back, and we're going to continue to translate it as to call Echod. So what did he say? He says it's going to go to the Nefesh, or the Mochim, Panimim. As we said, the Mochim Kitzonim and Chod Panimim. Let's say, why not? Umakifim, Panimim and Makifim, these are 2 different kinds of lights. Lights on the inside, lights that are too great to be on the inside. The Kelim Kitzoni, the Zun, the Kol Echod. This is the outside Kalim of the Chitzonium. Each one of them has a Chitzonius, the Za, the Zun, to call Echad to each one of them. Now, I'm not sure what that meant exactly, so let's go on. What is the reason why we're sending this or to the Chitzonius of this Nefesh? La Losam, he says, the Vara Birurim is for the purpose of refining out the Kedusha, which is hidden in this filthy world that we live in this difficult world that we live in, the world of blood and guts, let's call it. I'm sorry, I get... The Vara Berurim, in order to find the Kedusha that's in this mess, we're going to the Kelim Chitzonius once again, the outside Kelim, Kachbad, the Malachim to call Echad Mehem. Now this whole thing takes I'm trying to explain this. Who are the Malachim? The Malachim. Wow, I can't believe I'm doing this and I'm not letting you see what I'm doing. Oh my gosh. So let's go back. a little bit. He said, the call echad, that is, we are going to send this shefa, which coming from this yichud right here. This is your kavanah. This is saying this is what you should have in your mind as you're about to pray. Now, we put on talis, we put on a tefillin over here. We went around the bima, he said, 7 times, and he had a whole bunch of deals. I mean, this, if you have time for this, you could do this. It's fantastic. So closest that you can achieve in getting close to Hashem is the bara beruri kalim, in order to be able to find out the broken kalim. The kings died. The kings broke because they couldn't handle the light of the Ein Sof. So the story is that they were all in one line. And so when one broke, it spilled into the one below it, and then it all broke. But that didn't mean that they weren't kadosh. Tremendously panimi. And everything is built around the reconstruction of those broken kalim. So he's like, the bara beruri kalim, to refine out the berurim of the kalim that broke kachbad, the malachim that call echad mechem. So he said the kachbad, that particular set of partsufim, keser chochma bin and das, each one of them had, that is, the malachim had a keser chochma bin and das. The malachim, of those malachim we said that broke, they call echad mechem. So then we're going to send this there, the devara them. So he says, how is it, this is your kavanah, how is it that you're going to save these nitzutas of kedusha? I could do it. This is the kavanah that allows it to happen. So we have to understand that a kavanah, let's just say, what is kavanah? Well, it's an aim, it's a direction. Like the story, I said, tell the story of Rabbi Nachman tells about the tzaddik who was depressed. How could the tzaddik be depressed? He said because he saw that his prayers were not being answered. It wasn't working for him. He wasn't getting the yichud he wanted. And so he had a dream at night, and the dream said, take a rocket ship or a bullet, take a bullet, or an arrow in those days, and shoot it at the moon. What are your chances of hitting it? He has to refine his aim, to find the proper place to put these prayers. That's what sweetens the world. It has nothing to do with the Gentiles are saying and doing, and their bombers and their hates and their lusts and all of that. That's going on around you. This is where the real reality is. And by getting to it and just trying to see it, we get closer to the Ein Sof Baruch Hu and bringing all that sweetness of oneness back into the world. So then what we're trying to do, la'asam im penimius ha'asiyah v'nefesh shalo. So we're going to take the penimius as shia, which we said we're going to move. The penimius is what goes up. What I say, like it goes up. Where does it go up to? It goes to the kitzonius, which makes the kitzonius of the kitzonius into a penimius of the kitzonius. Just try that one for swallow that one. The lokalo, the la'alos imachim kitzonius ha'asiyah, to incorporate it with them. The kitzonius of asiyah penimim and makifim, these are referring to lights, the two different kinds of lights that are in all of these in these kalim. The kitzonius, the asiyah, we're trying to pull that up. Penimim and makifim, all the lights that are in them, the yitzira to the world that's up above them, which is called yitzira. Derech hechle zer anpen. Now again, I'm not sure exactly what that means. The Heichel Zer Anpen also has a asma. It also has, what did I say that wrong? It's not asma. It also has an abiyah. It has an Itzilus, Bria, a Yitzira, and a Sia. Now, I don't know if this is the right answer. The Heichel goes with the idea of the Madregos of Olam Bria, which leads one up to the very top of that partzuf. And that's what I think he's talking about. So he said, because in Zer Anpen, that's what I'm thinking, there are steps to move up. You're talking about the Zer Anpin of Olam Asiyah, bringing you up to the very top of Olam Asiyah, like steps. Kanezal, so he says that's been told to call Echad, and it goes to each one of them. La'alosa mehechel lahechel, in order to bring up from one one of these steps to the next. This is all the hechelos of the Zer Anpin of Olam Asiya. I'm going to go on because what I see is that in Zer Anpin there is a Zer Anpin. And in Olam Asiya there's a Zer Anpin, and that Zer Anpin is a Zer Anpin. So inside of the Zer Anpin of the Zer Anpin there's an Olam Abriya. I don't know if that's what he's trying to say or if we can make it, but that's my mind just went over there. Okay, anyway, Ad Yitzira V'zeh al Yedei our Karbanos, and all of this happens. How do we make the Kitzonius? So the Karbanos have something to do with Kitzonius, obviously. So how do we make those Kitzonios move up into Olam Yitzira? He's saying through the steps of Zer Anpin. Imagine, like you look at, you're in a watch shop, not a watch shop, a clock shop, and all the clocks on the wall are at exactly the same time. But if you look at them from right to left, then you realize it's actually a display. The one on the furthest right is the one that's going to be the hardest to see. But as you get towards the left, it's more physical. You could see it better. But nonetheless, that's the way that the universe is made. This is Baruch Fleischman. Whoops, I'm not using my name anymore. This is your very own Saba here at the Tikkun Elevator. Shalom.